Hey, it's ASHMAC, and when you see me, you already know it's an exclusive, your favorite cousin in the community. And of course, right now I have a very special guest. Let me just say a few things off of the resume, okay? A person that has been at the forefront of jazz, when I mean a vocalist, a composer, an educator that is still educating today, which is so important. We talk about this all the time, of planting the seed of the next generation to come. I have the beautiful, the talented, the iconic Ruth Naomi Floyd. How are you?
I am fine, and I'm going to give you $20 for that intro. Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for the kind invitation.
Oh, of course. I think it's important that we, of course, tell our stories from one another, right? Not allowing someone else to tell our stories and to hear it straight from the source. So thank you so much for making time today, because now we're gearing up for your performance.
Yes.
How are we feeling?
We are feeling really well. We have few more rehearsals.
Okay.
I'll feel better after they're done, but we have a world-class ensemble. So we're just gearing up. We're really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, I feel like we were having conversations before we even hit the record button, but more importantly, it's exciting to hear a musician's story. More importantly, a success story. And more importantly, on top of that, how you're still empowering other human beings in order to go into their purpose and their calling.
Yes.
You know, how did you even get here? Let's backtrack before we get to the performance. How did you recognize your calling with music?
Sure. Similar to your journey, my parents really stressed music education.
Yeah.
They're products of the Depression, the Great Depression in America. And they both individually, as young children, wanted to learn music. That was not an option. It was about putting food on the table. But they made a vow in their early 20s before they met each other that whatever children they would absolutely have music lessons. So my sisters and I each play piano, and then 2 additional instruments. I play flute and bassoon. And I remember one time my mother saying to my father, listen, before any bills are paid, the music lesson bills are paid. And that was just really powerful.
Yeah.
She says, we can light candles. I can make some soup. Music lesson bills be paid. So I'm very, very grateful they're not here anymore with us on earth, but I'm so grateful for them. So it was that encouragement. And our house was filled with music.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's amazing for you to say that your parents made this vow. Now, did they make this vow together or like as individuals before they met one another?
Before they met each other, when they were teenagers
Oh
and
my
20 years
gosh.
old. And I remember going to the orchestra and we were probably, you can count the number of black and brown people
Yes,
at the
of
Academy
course.
of Music. And we were always asked, oh, I think you're in the wrong place. This
Right.
is classical music, you know? And so my mother would just endure those indignities, and we would sit at the nosebleed seats because they were $5 and that's all we could afford.
Yeah.
But listening to that and then listening to choral music, my parents were very firm in not just having us learn, but also taking us to see it performed and shared.
Yeah.
So I'm deeply grateful. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about full circle moments and alignments. You know what I mean? For the fact of this is something your parents vowed for themselves to find a partner that values and has a vow similar to yours and says, you know what, we're going to have a family and raise them with the same, morals.
Yes.
When it comes to that. That's
Yes.
truly a testament of power of alignment, purpose, and music.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
seriously. Music is one of the languages that there is no barrier. You know what I
Yes.
mean? You can read music, you can hear music, and it transcends regardless of what language that you speak. And that's one thing that I truly always love about music, because you could sit next to someone in band or a performance band or a jazz band, and you don't speak the same language, but you know how to read the music that's on the right in front of you.
Yes.
It's amazing.
It is. It's a universal language that translates. And it's about how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
That's really stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy we got this talk today.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's get ready for your performance with Penn Live Arts and the Annenberg Center. And actually, where's the location of where your performance will be at?
Sure. It's a partnership between Penn Live Arts and the Philadelphia Episcopal Cathedral at 38th and Chestnut Street. And we decided on that location because I'm also a photographer, so there's an exhibit already up. First time in color. I'm a black and white photographer. Still use negatives.
I love that. Yeah.
But I decided to do color this time. So the photographs accompany the music and the content. And so it's really powerful. So I love the idea that even if music doesn't resonate deeply with you, there's images, and maybe there's visual learners there, or people who are more visual learners that while the music's playing, they can also see the images, and there'll be projections too.
Yeah, that's dope. What do you want people to receive when they come out to this performance? Because like you said, maybe the music doesn't resonate as well, but maybe the storytelling and the pictures, and that's what triggers you to stay for the whole performance.
Absolutely. Well, the title of the concert is Are We Yet Somehow Alive?
Are we?
That's the question. And so it tells the first narratives of the enslaved Africans. So it's taking their words, some while they were still enslaved and some post, and it's taking their words, their actual words. So every lyric I sing and every lyric the guest vocalists sing will be the actual words of enslaved Africans or former enslaved Africans. And it's so amazing that it's a miracle that this precious community of people who were dehumanized, who were not thought as 100% human, endured and were resilient and fought against resistance of dehumanization, and fought for liberation, but also had joy, a defiant joy.
Yes, yeah.
This kind of joy that they say, you know, I'm a woman of faith. This is the world. There's a joy this world didn't give me and won't take away, can't take away.
Yeah.
And so it's in spite of that. So I hope that people leaving the concert will say, no matter what I'm going through, that there's endurance, that there's a spirit of example of people and of community that have continued on.
Yeah.
And that's still in many ways the layers that we're still fighting for, given your question, are we yet somehow still alive fully? And so those that fight for that they'll walk away inspired, and you know, it's also from the people. It's the root of American music.
Yes,
we wouldn't have R&B. My favorite is '90s R&B. I love it. I love all R&B.
Yeah.
But my daughter would be like, "Oh, mom, you got '90s R&B on again." But I love. There would be no R&B. There would be no jazz. There'd be no African American gospel. There'd be no hip hop. There'd be no blues without this body of creative people who created in the midst of horrific circumstances.
Sure.
And that became the root of all the fruit of the music we have here. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I have these conversations with friends, or, you know, with other artists, or you can even say label reps and everything. And the answer is always different, always varies. But do you think it's a responsibility of performers or artists to be, you know, activists of some sort, to be, you know, on the forefront to share such knowledge and history?
Sure. I do believe you have to be called to it. It's something you shouldn't dabble with. It's not something, if you're not called, if you don't have that passion, if you're not concerned in that way publicly, because you're going to get hits for it.
Sure.
You're going to take some hits for it. So you have to be committed. I firmly believe, I know I'm called, and there's so many ahead of, Marvin Gaye, even the great Marian Anderson, all of those that use their music to better the world in a sense of justice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love them. They're my heroes, and it's something I'm so glad I'm able to do in my work. But I don't pass judgment on those that want to create. There's a beauty to that.
Yeah.
That just sits and create. And I do that. Certainly some of my songs are about just the beauty of the life, the beauty of this world, or stories. But for the most part, for me, I am deeply grateful that I feel called to do that.
Yeah.
And that I have a voice to do that. And the hits just means I'm doing something right.
Right.
But I don't agree that every artist should have to do that. And there's many that believe that. But I think there's a way of just singing a melody that can heal someone. And so there's power in the music that's created itself.
Yeah, but there's power in the history of it, right?
Yes.
And also there's power in sharing that, because I believe if we will continue to repeat these cycles, like historically, we will continue to do these things until it's broken. And if we do not know where we come from, how are we to know where we're going? right?
Yeah.
So if music is a tool of sharing that, and that sparks the interest of someone that looks like us or that does not look like us, you know what I mean? And that plants the seed to do something better and greater in the world, then it's like, okay, are we living now in that sense to share the story?
Yeah, and it's, like you said, you have to know where you come from, but history is such under attack.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the fact that Frederick Douglass's own autobiographies are banned in many states, his own personal story in his own voice with his own pen because of several reasons. So another way that the arts can be for me, and I'm excited, is that you're educating through the beauty of music, through the way of saying. And all of it's not heavy and dark. Someone said, oh, I've got to make sure I'm happy that day because it's going to be heavy. And I said, no, my dear. There's a song that I wrote from an enslaved African narrative that says, honeysuckle and a yellow moon. This enslaved woman, Lucy, who lived to be 90, had a horrific life. But all she wanted to talk about was her love for Jim, who lived only 30 years. So she lived 60 years additionally after his death. And she said, I don't want to look at my hands, look at my children. I had 8, 4 only remained. Look at the stripes on my back. But I want to talk about the smell of honeysuckle and a yellow moon, because that's what I would see when Jim would walk around the plantation with me. And that's the scent that I remember. I don't have long left. I'm ready to go see him. But that's what I remember. And that's identifying beauty in the midst of horror.
Yes.
So our history is not just horror. It's not just the lashes on our back. It is a huge part. But it's also what I say, this defiant joy.
Yeah.
And this amazing fortitude to find beauty in the midst of it. That's resistance. That's protest. So I said, no, there'll be really beautiful moments there.
Yeah.
There'll be some other moments that you're like, wow. But there will be some beautiful moments. And it's telling the full story, the full narrative.
Yeah.
So it's just not one aspect of it.
Right.
Yeah.
We need that. I think we as like a society need that, because if we don't, then again, our history is being banned. The history books are being banned. You're not seeing as much of African-American like studies or Black History Month. You know what I mean? We were just talking about Frederick Douglass and his works being banned. But I do want to say congratulations to you, because for the Frederick Douglass jazz works, right? Didn't you receive an award for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that body of work, every lyric I sing are his words.
Yeah.
And these are only 2 bodies out of other. I have a body of work on Octavius Catto.
Okay.
That's coming out this spring in Spring Garden Records, and other ones. But the Frederick Douglass Jazz Works and Are We Yet Somehow Alive, I take the actual words. And Frederick Douglass is a prophet of freedom. It's as if he's living the day. The very root things he's talking about back in those days of the 1800s are still, what your question, profound question you gave back to me, is still dealing with the nuances of those tensions.
Yeah.
And so to ban that is to take away a profound piece of history, of self-reliance, of oratory skills, of determination that's for the world.
Yeah. Man, I love this conversation, but I feel like for some people, it's too deep, right? But I feel like everything that we go through on a daily basis is that deep. You know what I mean? It is that deep. Even if you don't want to acknowledge it to be that, it is that deep, you know? It stems from how we're raised, how our parents were raised, how our grandparents and great-grandparents and the origins of that. And that really, what's the word I want to use? That really constructs how we deal with one another on a day-to-day basis. And then it's up to you to either unlearn things and then relearn things. You know what I mean? And it's like, what would you charge for the people that are coming to your performance? What would you like them to take away and then give to somebody else?
I hope that they'll continue to read, that they'll continue to study, that there's a sense of wanting, particularly for African Americans, to go deeper into their history. to know about the first civil rights. We know a lot about the second and third phase, but really the depthness of the root of it.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful when you have that understanding, you know who you are and you know where you came from and you know the cost.
Mm-hmm.
Blood.
Yeah.
You know the high cost. So there's a way that you navigate yourself in the world that you don't allow people to tell you who you are. You don't allow people to change your narratives of who you are.
Yeah.
And you can back it up with fact and history. And then I also hope that they walk away of regardless of race, creed, age, gender, that they walk away saying, this is a human story.
Yes.
And that they walk away saying, with deep gratitude for who they are, for deep gratitude for this powerful community of people, and for a sense of that it'll inspire them to keep holding on.
Yes.
No matter what happens, keep holding on, because hope will never die. As long as we are breathing, there is hope.
Yeah.
And what we do with that breath and a deeper understanding of who we are, who America is, we're about to celebrate a huge birthday. We need to tell the truth. There's a song called Truth and Integrity that an escaped enslaved African being interviewed said, like, I may not have this, but one thing I held on to was truth and integrity. So that's a worldwide lesson. That's a lesson for everyone. So hopefully there'll be a hungering for more knowledge, and that they'll be inspired. And then also that everyone will walk away wanting to create in some way.
Yeah. I feel more inspired talking to you about this. It's like, yes. Like, we have to do the work, you know what I mean? We can't wait on someone else to do the work.
Yeah.
Sometimes, that gift or that talent or that seed planted is placed in us for a reason.
Yes.
Or your vision is your vision for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean? So not everyone's going to see it. I might not be able to see it, but I can see the finished product, and now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for taking time to share your story, your testament, and your God-given talents and gifts. That's what's powerful. And being that you can do that on an everyday basis is something that a lot of people don't do or take the risk to do, because that's a chance.
And I have to say thank you for being you. I know who you are. And thank you for all that you've done with such sophistication.
Oh, thank
such
you.
Such intellect, and yet such empathy and care. And those are rare.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And please come to the concert.
Yes.
Please,
Where can we get tickets at? And yes,
sure.
Let's start with that. Where can we get tickets at?
It's online at Philly Live Arts. Penn Live Arts, Penn Live Arts, and in Philly, but Penn Live Arts on their website, and you can purchase tickets there. And it's Thursday. If you've ever been in the Philadelphia Episcopal Cathedral, it is stunning. It's a stunning place. It feels beautiful. It feels sacred. It feels wonderful in an inviting way. It is a cathedral, but everyone is welcome, and you feel that when you come in. So,
I love that. Well, I'm sure your music will be even more welcoming as well, and you singing will be welcoming. And outside of that, what can we expect? What are you working on next?
Sure. Well, the Octavius Catto record will be out in the spring, and then I am a visiting professor in the Equity and Action department at University of Pennsylvania. So I have been this academic year, been studying and researching the great contralto, Marian Anderson, who's the Kimmel Center, the Verizon Hall, is being renamed in her honor.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And so everyone thinks of her as a stunning, beautiful singer, which she was, absolutely. But also her activism was really powerful, and she really thrust and pushed that civil rights era. So I'm going to create a body of work that will be a jazz quartet and a string quartet.
Okay.
In honor of her. So we're working on that. Yeah. And then I have some commissions, a violin concerto and a solo flute. Soundtrack for a filmmaker in the UK. Okay. So that'll be my summer and a little bit of the fall. So
yes. You're getting coins in the States, outside of the States, okay? National, international.
That's why I really love jazz, because the UK, France, Europe, the whole world loves this music.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to travel the world for 30 years. And I am grateful my parents were able to see that.
Yeah.
My father said, I never knew that would happen. But yeah, I'm really excited. And if I can tell a little bit about the ensemble.
Yeah, sure.
It'll be a jazz quartet. There'll be a also guest soloist on violin, Diane Monroe. Beautiful, stunning dancer, Brenda Dixon. And then there'll be also an amazing cathedral singers. So it'll be choral, instrumental. There'll be narrators, a dancer. And our music director is the great Aaron Graves. So we're just so excited. We're having a gospel singer, Dion Payton, to come. So it'll be a mixture of jazz, blues, and African-American gospel.
I love it. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
For sharing your gifts. I know your parents are with you every step of the way. You know what I mean? To honor them in this way.
Yes.
And it's something that I'm sure that they're smiling with you every step of the way to do.
Thank
Man,
you.
you're so welcome. Thank you so much. All right. Get more details right now at rnbphilly.com, as well as, I will say what? Oh, Philly Classics. Classics Philly? What? There we go. Classicsphilly.com.